In 2009, the neighborhood of Tracy, California was shaken to its core when 8-year-old Sandra Cantu went missing. All the evidence seemed to point towards the fact that she had simply run away from home. However, within 10 days of her disappearance, her body was found stuffed into a suitcase. Even more tragically, it was soon revealed that the monster behind this heinous act was someone from their own community, someone they trusted. Today, let us take a closer look at this tragic event and try to understand how someone could be so heartless. It was a typical Sunday morning for Sandra Cantu. She got ready for church, putting on her brand new white shoes, which she'd gotten for Easter. She went to the Lord's house with her mom and 2 siblings, a 5-year-old sister and a baby brother. The whole family was going through a tough time. Sandra's parents were getting divorced and they had to move out of their home. After the service, Sandra and her brother were picked up by their father, while her mother stayed behind. According to Sandra's mother, they agreed that their father would keep the children for the weekend and she would pick them up on Monday. So after spending some time with her father, Sandra went back to her mother's house. She had some lunch and waited for her friends to come over so they could play. Sandra's favorite activity was playing with her American Girl doll, and that day was no different. She was waiting for her friends and decided to play with her doll instead. Her mother knew her daughter was making the best of the situation and tried to comfort her by telling her that everything would be fine. At 4 p.m., Sandra's mother went to check on her daughter. She knocked on her room door, but no one answered. Assuming that Sandra was still playing with her friends, she left the door open and went downstairs to watch television. Little did she know that her daughter would never come back. Sandra decided to go and play at her friend's house, which was just a few houses away. Her mother watched television without knowing that her daughter had slipped out of the house. Sandra skipped to her friend's house and continued playing until 6 p.m. After this, she was spotted on surveillance camera walking back towards her home. Sandra was never seen alive again. It's around 7 p.m. Sandra's mother realized that her daughter had not returned from her friend's house. Since Sandra had never done this before, she immediately contacted her ex-husband and asked him if he still had the kids. He confirmed that he had dropped her off at her mother's house and that he had unseen her since. As Sandra's mother searched for her daughter, she started calling other neighbors to see if they had spotted her. They all responded that they had not. Finally, she called the police and reported her daughter missing. After filing the report, she started driving around to look for her daughter. The community was quick to respond. Dozens of people joined the search party and hundreds of flyers were distributed. Meanwhile, the police were conducting their own investigations. Kay reviewed surveillance footage, spoke to witnesses, and looked into any similar cases in the area. Days turned into weeks, but there was still no trace of the young girl. The community grew more and more concerned. One evening, someone contacted the police to inform them that they had found a suspicious suitcase in an irrigation pond near the Cantu family home. It was an odd find, but nothing stood out as unusual. However, the police decided to investigate further, and divers were sent to recover the suitcase. When the suitcase was pulled out of the water, they saw that it was tied shut with duct tape. Divers opened it and made a gruesome discovery. Inside the suitcase lay a body. Although it took a while to identify the body due to the state of decomposition, it was eventually confirmed to be Sandra. The news spread quickly through the community. Everyone was shocked and saddened by this development. As the community grieved, the police worked tirelessly to solve the case. They wanted justice for Sandra. The police were able to narrow down the timeline of events leading up to Sandra's death. They determined that she had been alive between 4 and 6 p.m. on Sunday, March 2009. She was then seen on surveillance footage walking back to her house, but she was never seen again. They also learned that she had been hit on the head several times, which rendered her unconscious. She was then sexually assaulted and smothered to death. As the police investigated further, they found traces of Sandra's blood in Melissa's garage. They also found that Melissa had taken several trips to the ATM machine using Sandra's bank card after her disappearance. Moreover, Melissa admitted to police that she had been unfaithful to her boyfriend and suspected that someone was watching her. In fact, she had gone to the police station to ask them to increase security in her neighborhood. She claimed that she had seen suspicious men lurking around the park and expressed fear that they might target her or her daughter. She was adamant that she was not involved in Sandra's disappearance and was surprised by the news that the victim's blood had been found in her garage. Still, something was off. The police were suspicious. Over the next few days, they searched Melissa's home and uncovered more evidence linking her to the crime. They found Sandra's jacket and underwear in a plastic bag hidden in the garage. Additionally, Sandra's fingerprints were found in Melissa's car. Furthermore, a witness came forward to reveal that Melissa had been acting strangely since Sandra's disappearance. She had made several long-distance calls and was overheard talking about needing a lawyer. Something wasn't adding up. The police brought Melissa in for questioning. She crumbled under pressure and confessed to taking Sandra's life. She told police that after she killed Sandra, she stuffed the girl's body into a suitcase and dumped it in the nearby canal. She then withdrew money from the victim's bank account using her ATM card. Melissa's motive for killing Sandra remains unclear, but it seems that she had developed an obsession with the girl. In fact, Melissa had been a Sunday school teacher at the church the Cantu family attended. She had taught Sandra's class for 3 years and was well liked by the congregation. She was also a single mother of a 4-year-old girl and had recently been involved in a custody dispute with her ex-husband. Melissa claimed that she had acted alone and that no one else was involved in the crime. She was charged with murder and kidnapping and pleaded not guilty. However, after the prosecution presented their evidence, she changed her plea to guilty and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sandra's family was relieved that justice had been served, but they were still searching for answers. Why did Melissa kill Sandra? What could have possessed her to commit such a heinous crime? Fortunately, we may never know the full story behind Melissa's actions. However, her guilty plea spared Sandra's family from having to relive the horrors of the trial, and it ensured that Melissa would never walk free again. The case of Sandra Cantu is a tragic reminder of the evil that can lurk in the hearts of seemingly ordinary people. Melissa Huckabee was a respected member of her community, who had volunteered at a local church and was active in her neighborhood. She had no history of violence and was known for her kindness. Yet, she was capable of such a heinous crime. The case raises questions about the nature of evil and the importance of seeking help. When we see warning signs in those around us, Melissa had exhibited strange behavior in the weeks leading up to the murder, including talking to herself and hoarding food. But these warning signs were ignored by those who knew her. We must remember that evil can wear many faces, and that we should never judge a person by their outward appearance. The death of Sandra Cantu also highlights the vulnerability of our society's most innocent members. Sandra was a happy and energetic 8-year-old girl who was loved by everyone in her community. She was taken away from her family and friends in the prime of her life, and her death has left a void that can never be filled. The case has sparked calls for greater protection of children and for parents to be more vigilant about the safety of their kids. We must do everything we can to ensure that our society's most vulnerable members are protected from harm. While the guilty plea and life sentence of Melissa Huckabee brought some measure of justice to Sandra's family, it will never bring back their daughter or ease the pain of their loss. The tragedy of this case serves as a reminder of the importance of seeking help. When we see warning signs in those around us and the need to protect our society's most vulnerable members, may Sandra Cantu's memory continue to be a source of strength and inspiration for those who loved her, and a reminder to us all of the importance of kindness, compassion, and justice. What are your thoughts on the case of Sandra Cantu? Do you think Melissa Huckabee's crimes will ever be fully understood? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to stay tuned for more content. Thank you for watching.